Spider Pig. Hi, I'm the Spider-Man from the universe where we don't invent the word duh.
What?
I'm that Spider-Man. I don't know what the word duh is.
How do you say WTA then?
What? I say D-A. I don't know T-H-E.
Oh, so you speak pigeon?
Yes.
And I'm in the Spider-Verse where all have a theme song. Spider Pig. Wait a second, is that Batman?
That's it is actually. The Spider-Man is Spider-Man does whatever Spider-Man does.
What's the Amazing Spider-Man theme song? The one with the Nickelodeon star. I don't think we're allowed to name anymore.
I don't know. Did it have a cool simple plan? Like, what's this Scooby-Doo? We're coming after you. Wait, Spider-Man?
No, Spectacular Spider-Man.
So this is FunUntitled where we serve every podcast for an F you. We went too long just like kind of grasping at straws. Like, I just imagine sand going through our hands as we try to like collect the vaporized Spider-Man that's from my memories.
Man, mine was all black and wings. I didn't even have a Spider-Man song.
So today we're going to go over the two movies, Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spiderverse.
And one day Beyond the Spider-Verse.
We're not there yet. Wait, don't go Bed Bath Beyond on me. Now, what is your history with Spider-Man, first off?
Spider-Man overall?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, what was the first occurrence of Spider-Man? Because I do kind of think, the first off the head is the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. I don't think I've actually seen it. I've only seen like scenes and trailers.
Hey, my friend, I'm gonna tell you this right now. You did see all three movies. We don't remember.
Are you sure?
Yeah, for sure.
I remember.
Yeah, we definitely saw at least the first two. We may not have seen the third one with Venom.
But I feel like there was a cartoon we saw.
Yeah, I was going to tell you that too. Number two, the cartoon we saw was Spider-Man and Friends. That's the one where Iceman was in it and Token Woman.
Oh, right. Wasn't it like a flame woman?
Yes, so that is the very first Spider-Man media we've seen.
You know, I was thinking while watching Across the Spiderverse.
There's a lack of Iceman in this.
No, an Omega X-Men. The idea, like imagine us, right? Pokemon fans, we've seen like almost every iteration, video game, blah, blah, blah. Could you imagine if you did that with Spider-Man? If you read like every comic book, watched every show, seen every movie, you would be hitting every fucking reference and your brain would explode from the references that's hitting you.
I will say those that, okay, obviously we're going to talk about both movies. We're going to talk about kind of the plot points, the characters, so spoilers ahead. But when I was watching Across the Spiderverse, they're like, hey, this is a canon event. Uncle Ben must die. And they had all those things in the background. I was like, okay, so that's cartoon. That's the Tobey Maguire movie.
That's the actor you can't say.
Oh, I can't say his name no more. He sullied it.
Yeah, I'll bleep it.
Okay, how about this? It was surprising to me that Across the Spider-Verse, they put the live action scenes in it.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, but
they start you off with it with the Chinese lady who didn't give a fuck about Spot.
Yeah, he did not give. I wonder if we were supposed to know who she was.
Or she's just some sassy Asian woman. Was there anything from Tom Holland? I don't remember seeing any reference.
There's no way they could put something that recent in this. But they just straight up had an Andrew Garfield in it, right?
Yeah, they had that one because he was crying over Captain Stacy. They definitely had Maguire. I can't remember what it was though.
That one is the Uncle Ben dying.
Uncle Ben dying. Okay. But I mean, like, because you could have Homecoming. Homecoming's pretty old.
Yeah, but I don't think the mouse would let you have it.
Oh, it says in association with Marvel.
So, yeah, that's our relationship with Spider-Man. We always kind of had it in our past. It was never that too forefront. I remember Spider-Pig from the Simpson movie having more nostalgia factors in my head.
What helps is that our dad is a huge comic book reader. So any questions we had, we could ask him. And he's almost familiar with everything.
Yeah, he's kind of put his hand in all the cookie jars. You know, like, he may not have read it, but he definitely read a summary. But when I do that, when a white man explains something to me, I'm like, oh, you didn't really experience it. But when my father does it, that's fine because there's 10 million comic books. You can't read all of them.
Comic books are hard to get into. There was an episode of actually that Dropout series that talks about that a lot of people are intimidated by comics, but there's a way to get introduced, but I think you need somebody.
What's hard is that there's some series that'll do like 1,000 reboots. So that way, like, you know, there can be newcomers, but when you have like old gatekeepers gatekeeper who's like, no, you still gotta remember all the old ones, you know? Then it gets intimidating. Like, oh, I got in with this series #1. It's like, actually, that was like the 5th #1. That doesn't really count.
Exactly. This is exactly why it's difficult. Because it's like, does it matter? Like, obviously it matters that Uncle Ben dies. But let's say like Joker falling into the vat and becoming Joker. Is that an important origin part to his story? Or have we replaced it? Or is there something else that's more
Or should we
common?
focus on the anime version of Suicide Squad or how that Joker became Joker? Is the killing joke even relevant anymore now that we have Project Isekai's Joker?
Is the blonde Harlequin the only Harlequin that's ever going to exist now? And we're just going to forget the one where she was actually dressed in Harlequin.
Lord. I still think Steven Wolf had to go off tangent that Harlequin was like, yes, I used to put makeup on to look like a Harlequin, but now when I fell into the vat, that permanently bleached my skin now. It's like, what? Why do we got just lift the damn makeup on, you dumb bitch?
You gotta watch the animated series.
Yeah, well, I watched 6 hours of Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spiderverse. I cannot watch any more movies. So, Into the Spider-Verse. That movie stars Miles Morales. He is the one and only Spider-Man for 2 minutes.
Kind of, yeah.
Because, like, he goes in that universe, he's living his best POC life. And I don't mean that as an insult, I mean that generally that is his selling point as the Miles Morales Spider-Man.
Ouch.
I'm just saying, with the comic books, they do some shitty things to sell, you know, characters to try to get them apart. That's why we have Woman Thor. That's why we had Black Captain America. This is how Miles Morales first stood out from regular Spider-Man.
Okay.
And then he get bitten by a spider with 420 on it. It's like, racist.
So they took out the 0.
So they took out the 0. They're like, you can't have that. It has to be Spider number 42. And then he's like, okay, now I'm Spider-Man and my own Spider-Man dies. What the fuck do I do? And Kingpin's like, what if I told you I'm trying to bring back my family and son that I drove away? But in doing so, I invited like 5 other Spider-Mans to join you. Like, I don't like that, Kingpin. I don't like that at all. One of them's a pig.
Wait, one of them's hot.
Never mind. I like this. And one of them's a hobo.
Ooh.
Send the hobo back.
And the Nor one.
Keep the anime, keep the hot one. That's all I need.
Like, hold up, that seems sexist that you only want the girls. Now it seems weird.
Okay. The pig can stay. Oh, what? When they stay in our universe, they're gonna die? Okay, I'll send them all back. What do you mean you don't trust my ability enough to send them all back? What do you mean you're gonna tie me to a chair and now I have to have an emotional 1v1 with my father?
That was a good scene.
That was a good scene.
That was a scene Annie missed the first time we watched Into the Spiderverse because they had to go pee in theaters.
I think James Cameron in The Way of Water, when he had that scene of all the characters going, wait, we need to do something with the water for 5 minutes. Is it going to be important? No, it's going to be okay. You can skip this next 5 minutes. Hint, hint, wink, wink.
Is that an actual thing?
No, I think Way of the Water actually had an intermission where like the movie actually paused so like people can go, pee. But they don't actually have a scene where the actor tells you, like, James Cameron's like, hey, I'm James Cameron. I'm giving you permission to leave for 5 minutes. Nothing important will happen, I swear.
One character leaves and the other ones just sit around being like, boy, this would be a good time to go to the restroom.
It's like enter screensaver mode. It's just the characters like, it's that scene in Across the Spiderverse where Miles and Gwen is like looking out to the city. It's like, this scene's just for us. If anyone's still here looking at this city view, you're being very intrusive right now.
Hold on. Build the Hudson River. It'll drive people to the bathroom. I don't even know if that's in Brooklyn.
Okay, there's a scene in the Nickelodeon Wild Thornberry movie, right? Where like, hey, go smell this number right now.
I remember that.
I want that to flash up in the Across the Spiderverse where it's like, hey, go pee. You have my blessing. Hi, I'm Lord Miller, the creator of Into the Spiderverse. You have my permission as Lord Miller to go pee.
And Cartman from South Park comes and starts playing the brown noise.
Oh, stupid. Now that's an old reference.
That's an old reference.
That's an old reference.
That's more recent than the wild thornberries.
So Miles is like stuck to the chair. He's like, you know what? That hobo guy, he gave me the strength, the leap of faith strength to become Spider-Man. And he does become his own Spider-Man. Or some people know him as the Spider Spin. They tried to do it in the comics. I guess the creator of Marvel was like, God, we gotta have people stop calling him Miles Morales Spider-Man. We can't just have his identity, just out about like that. Let's call him Spider-Spin. And it never caught on.
It's not that bad of a name, to be honest.
Yeah, but
It's
unless he's a Beyblade, I don't get why it's Spider-Spin.
You spin around, you spin web, you spin DJs.
We have a ballet dancer who should have been called Spider-Spin, but we call her Ghost Spiders in some comics.
Oh, I like Ghost Spider.
Yeah, but it's emphasized. I wonder who's underneath the mask. Probably someone white. We wouldn't have that scene, the third spot, Far From Home? No, that's not what it's called.
Nowhere Home.
Nowhere Home. Where it's he took off the mask, oh man, you white? Oh, the guy from Brooklyn, I thought.
That was funny. That was really funny.
And so Miles Morales, he does that whole rising scene where he's falling, but he's actually upside down, so he's rising.
That scene is gonna be permanently embedded people's brain when they think of Into the Spider-Verse.
Yes.
Because it's such a cool metaphor and imagery, and it's just thematic, especially with the jump of faith.
Yes.
Leap of faith.
And then they had that cold deleted scene where hey Miles, you have too much pressure on you. You can't think about saving the world. Just think about saving that one person. And Miles I'm gonna save that one hot white chick. And then Miles did send everyone home, but he accidentally sent the hot girls home too. It's fuck. And then he had to fight Kingpin by himself. Obviously, I'm oversimplifying the movie. Go actually watch the movie. I just think it's very funny when people are give a quick summary.
Oh, that's what you find funny. Gotcha.
Fuck you. I get that one swear. It's just how Across the Spiderverse had that one swear.
That was it.
It was hey, I don't know what to do with my son. Well, maybe get off his ass. What'd you say? Nothing. And they actually had two swears because then Peter B. Parker was oh, she took a crap. That's how you know she's a Parker. She took a mean crap.
Crap's not a swear word.
Crap is a swear word.
Crap is not a swear
Why think
word.
crap basket exists so we can censor that shit?
What?
If you heard a child say the word crap, you wouldn't even look.
No.
You wouldn't bat an eye.
Nope.
All right. Well, if he said shit fuck Lloyd, you would look, right?
Oh, I mean, I would definitely look. I'd look at them, the parent, the police officer. I'd be like, hey, this ain't allowed.
But that was basically Into the Spider-Verse. What did you think about Miles Morales after Into the Spider-Verse? I think he's a compelling main character, the perfect character who just got your powers and the whole expectation thing.
What do you mean by he's a perfect character?
He's a perfect launching character of someone who just got their powers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like his whole story arc in the first one. I don't think he did anything too revolutionary in that kind of sense. I think we all know that the Spider-Verse movie is mostly applauded for the art more than the writing.
Right. I mean, Into the Spider-Verse is a good movie. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I don't really think there's any major flaws. It's very funny. Like you said, the animation and the action is super good. It's just doesn't have the most substance. There wasn't much stakes in that movie. I mean, I know they were threatened to disappear, but I never really felt like it even got close to that moment. While Across the Spider-Verse, I think toned down some of the comedy. Still had animations and action, but they really filled it with the substance and the drama of a good story. I'm not saying, I don't think it's also the most unique story. I think there's been other stories that's done this with a main villain, a good guy who's trying to do good but kind of loses the message or loses the vision, and then of course the protagonist trying to bring they're gonna get everything back together, right? If you think about No Way Home was kind of like that, where there was the main villain, who I think was Norman, right, in a sense.
No Way Home?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess so, huh?
In a sense, right?
Yeah.
And then Doctor Strange was the guy who's you have to do it a certain way, and Peter Parker trying to get everything together. Although in this one, No Way Home, Peter Parker does not get everything he wants. While in other series, the protagonists would get everything they want.
Yeah, he's I can fix everything. I can upkeep our moral code and fix everything.
Right.
And No Way Home's well, I fixed everything.
I mean, to be fair though, No Way Home is one part of a bigger story. That's it can have a bad ending, quote unquote, because it'll probably get fixed later on in whatever the fourth stupid Spider-Man name is called.
No offense, No Way Home wasn't the best movie. I am. People think oh, people shit on No Way Home only because Across Spider-Verse came out, but I didn't like No Way Home when it first came out because it felt the whole plot was kind of unnecessary because it wouldn't have happened if Peter Parker was oh, I don't want anyone to know I'm Spider-Man, but except maybe one person, no, two people, no, make it 5. What about only 10 people knew my identity? And I'm dude, shut the fuck up.
Like I said, it's one part of a bigger story. So it's hard now to judge an MCU movie based on itself, knowing that there's it has a role to play.
Yeah, Multiverse of Madness could not have happened if movies like No Way Home didn't happen.
Or if you didn't have WandaVision.
Yeah. But yeah, we're gonna talk about. I think we talk about if Miles is a good character.
Miles is a good character. Yes. Into the Spider-Verse is great. Across the Spider-Verse is great. I personally like Across the Spider-Verse better, so if you want to give a brief summary.
Alright, Cross Spider. God, how do you even summarize that without oversimplifying literally everything? Well, I'll do it. As the white Spider-Man here, my work here is to oversimplify great work of art until it's consumable.
Especially when there's a PLC leading the way.
Yep. So Miles Morales is like a year later. He is the one and only Spider-Man. But God, he is studying physics. He is trying to get back with his friend. He wants that hot white woman in his life.
That's the generic Spider-Man storyline. That is always his struggle in life. How do I work, school, and find love while being Spider-Man?
15 though, man. Like, damn, you're younger than Peter Parker when he became Spider-Man.
Depending on which Spider-Man you're talking about.
I guess so. Can't forget baby Spider-Man. And then he's like, oh shit, my blonde waifu was going on adventures on an elite spider squad strike. And she's like, actually, Miles, I liked you too. I liked you so much you fucked up my mission to like go after the spot. Remember in the first movie when we threw a bagel at someone? Yeah, you ruined his life from then on.
Man, you really had to watch Into the Spider-Verse and remember that one minute scene.
Remember that one meme?
Was it a meme?
Oh, it was a big meme.
I never knew.
Yeah, well. So she's like, Spider-Man, you created me. Spider-Man, why'd you create that guy? That's
Actually, it seems like the internet created that guy.
That's true. So, if you fucked up, you let this guy who can go into multiple dimensions, just run amok. Now we have to go to Spider India just to fix everything.
To be fair though, what was the camera spying on the spot doing if not to warn her of shit like this happening?
She's like, I put a camera down, and her mentor's like, the camera shouldn't have been there. You should have been there.
They have technology to replay the scene of after the fact, and I'm like, but you couldn't have the camera tell you when the spot came back home?
You couldn't have like energy readings to be like, hey, get here faster, bitch.
I'm just saying, you don't even need that scene then. Just have the aftermath scene.
Yeah, well, I guess so, huh? So they go to Mumbatan.
Okay, I thought that was like a play on Manhattan, but then it said, oh, but he's in India. So I'm like, is this a world where India took over the world and they're making a play on words on Manhattan to be Manhattan, or is there a Manhattan in India?
I don't know. Things get hazy when we still have the British Parliament that stole things from India.
That was so funny. Like when you get meta like that, it's so funny.
I love the Indian Spider-Man, but I don't even want to try to pronounce his name because I will butcher it.
It's just the Indian. Actually, I think most people call him like Pop.
Is that it?
Because, okay, because before I saw the movie, you'd always see Hody and Pop. And I don't know if it's like a nickname or that's just how people are gonna say it.
Oh, his Gwen Stacy also has a weird name to pronounce because like.
Is that why it starts with a G?
Yeah, but it's like I think it means like a really beautiful thing in Indian. But like if you pronounce it wrong, she just becomes gay.
Hey, Pop could be wrong for all I know.
Anyways, so Miles goes to Indian and he's like, wait, I don't want anything to happen to this beautiful sunshine boy. I'm going to save everyone he loves. And he's like applauded at first, but then like Miguel, he comes and it's like, hey, I'm Vampire Ninja Spider-Man. You ruined a canon event. It's like, what, like fan fiction? What are you talking about?
That was weird to me too. I was like, what are you talking about canon? Like, is there like an alternate timeline or something? I think that's what throws me off.
That it's not called the Spider-Verse, it's called like the really complicated arachnid.
That like, I guess they are using the word canon correctly, but you know, like it implies that there's like another way. But the way he made it sound, like he sounds like you either do canon or everyone dies. And it's like, okay, but you already ruined the canon and everyone's not dead. So I think in a sense, you should just let Miles fuck his own universe up because it's not gonna kill everybody.
Yeah, it seems like it's just gonna kill that one universe.
Yeah, which I think like in a sense, a Spider-Man can't let that happen. I'm also kind of like,
look, if I even try to think about this timeline of what happened in this past year since Miles opened up the multiverse, then like my brain just explodes because like it doesn't, like, unless I'm missing something, unless like I have to be like the hardest core Spider-Man, a lot of things doesn't make sense.
Do you assume that Miguel's events of starting this whole Spider Society happened before or after the events of Into the Spider-Verse?
Okay, you saw Into the Spider-Verse, the after credit scene, you have Miguel and his assistant Lila.
Right.
Lila's like, hey, while you're gone, a lot of shit happened, but on the bright side, I finished your watch that let you go cross multi-dimensions. So that's when he's like, oh, wait, let me go back to where it first starts. And like, when he meets the first Spider-Man and recreates that meme, I assume that's the first Spider-Man he recruits.
Oh, I gotcha.
So I have to assume at that point, that is when he meets the other Spider-Mans.
Oh, okay.
So then later on in Across the Spiderverse, spoiler, he dooms a universe because he jumps to a universe where he replaces a dead Miguel and he has a happy family. But because he's there, the whole universe like flips out of existence and Peter B. Parker is there to try to help him save everyone, but they can't. So that had to have happened in the past year.
Right.
Because there's no way Peter B. Parker knew about multi-dimension before Into the Spider-Verse.
Right.
The part that I don't understand is why was he jumping from, dimensions and trying to save canon events if that event where he lost his daughter didn't happen yet? Because the only thing I can assume is that he just started to try to save multi-dimensions and then in the middle he found out about canon events and then because he fucked up that one world. So after that he became he changed directions from just saving the multiverse to just fixing canon events or whatever.
I feel like he started jumping multiverses. I don't know why.
Yeah.
That led to him finding maybe his family. And maybe when the assistant said while you were gone, maybe that's what she meant by while you were gone, playing dad.
Oh.
And then he comes back to his world and they finish the watch? Maybe. I don't know. There could be some plot holes I can't think of. I'm just thinking on the spot right now.
Yeah, that makes some more sense to me though.
But anyway, so Miguel drops the bomb that Miles Morales is an abnormality because the 42 spider was from Earth 42 who bit Miles, turned him into Spider-Man, which caused the original Spider-Man in his universe to die, making that Miles Morales should have never happened. And that, see, okay, he's an anomaly.
Yes.
And now one universe doesn't have the Spider-Man.
Shouldn't have that universe for this Miles we know is from 1606.
Right.
Shouldn't the 42 universe just completely blip out of existence?
Well, see, now I'm wondering, that's one thing, right? That could happen. And that would make sense. Or maybe it's on the verge of going to do so. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like obviously Miguel got to play dad for a while before the universe crashed. Maybe 42 is on its way. And maybe 1601 is also on its way. But then it's kind of if it's on its way, then Miles should be able to save his dad. So clearly it's not on its way. At least 1601 is not. Or whatever his number is.
Yeah, 1606. But
1606.
what's weird to me that when the Indian one, as soon as he ruined the canon event, it started to go haywire, right? And Miles that was the bot, not me. No, that was you. Wait, then who was it, the Spot or was it you? I got confused there. Did it immediately almost blip out because of that one canon event that was disrupted?
Oh, you're right. That does happen.
So there's too many, I feel I know during the movie there's a bunch of rewrites. So I feel they went with one rule and then a rewrite happened and went with a new rule.
Because what's hard is that this isn't a time traveling story.
Yes. And then to Across the Spiderverse, we're worried about Miguel and the Spot, but I'm hey, it seems you did a lot more to ruin canon events than either of these two could have done. When they took Gwen Stacy out of her entire universe. She hasn't gone back for months. Doesn't she have to be there for the next canon event? Else, is it a canon event just to have your father aim a gun at you?
No, I don't think so. I think the canon event is the captain dying.
But that wasn't the canon event that Gwen was going under. Remember? Okay, so the dad was you're under arrest, Gwen, and then Miguel's alright, this canon event has gone as planned. We can leave now. And the black lady was well, we can't just leave her. She's all alone. I guess maybe the canon event that your parents find out and it goes badly.
Does it have to go badly?
I don't. Peter B. Parker never had his parents alive for it to go badly, you know?
Because I mean, I don't know. I don't remember enough about the first two Spider-Man's movies.
Because for sure, in this world, you have to have a loved one dying, either Uncle Ben or Uncle Aaron. An uncle. Or I guess Peter. Maybe Peter Parker was Gwen Stacy's uncle. I guess Gwen Stacy is a canon event, it has to fall for Spider-Man.
Yeah. But anyways, I mean, to sum up the end of the plot, because the episode's getting too long now, Miles Morales goes to Universe 42 thinking he was going home, or Earth 42, and ends up finding himself, who is now the new Prowler. And Gwen Stacy figures this out and gathers up a bunch of people, old and new Spider-Man friends, to go save Miles Morales. And the movie ends with a cliffhanger.
I guess it wasn't common knowledge that this was a 2-part movie. I thought everyone knew.
I feel I may have known, because I remember hearing Beyond the Spiderverse.
Okay, last question, because this episode's too long. What do you think about Miles after Across the Spiderverse now? I think, everything he does is so much smarter than Miguel.
I think it's it's more idealistic. And I think that's the kind of the point, because all these superhero movies kind of plays on this theme of being more idealistic, being somebody more than a person, right? Even when like realistic, even looking through history, you still have to do what is idealistic in a sense, because I guess it gets to that ethical question, like, is it morally more right to do something that's idealistic or to do something that's more realistic? I don't know. I mean, I think it's kind of too soon to say, since Across the Spiderverse is not a complete movie to me without Beyond the Spiderverse. But you can kind of judge Infinity Wars and Endgame separately. That they have like such two different stories, even though you have to have Infinity Wars before Endgame. I feel like Across the Spiderverse is just part one.
I would just say I like Miles' relationship with his crew better in Across the Spider-Verse than Into the Spider-Verse, because as much as I love Penny, Noor, and Peter Porker, they were really just last-minute additions compared to like this one where like Paul was more useful with the whole like, hey, I'm gonna try several times for you to not meet Miguel, like we don't follow the rules, but then you're too like starry eyes to listen to me, so I'm just gonna like make a watch because I know this is gonna go badly. And him with the Indian guy, even though small, like, you know, him saving his loved ones, yada yada.
To me personally, they're all on equal ground, because this is such a Miles Morales character-driven story. Everyone, except maybe Gwen Stacy, are just plot devices to just keep the story moving.
Okay, but well, you know, maybe we'll do another episode, maybe not, about when in 5 years when Beyond the Spiderverse comes out. We hope you live in a timeline where you keep staying and listening to us talk about Spider-Man.